Switched it up. It looked good though. I like the rendering on the outside. That's nice. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mindy.
Hi, Mindy. Carol. How are you?
I'm fine.
I see you on Facebook.
Oh, here I am.
It's good to see everybody. Maybe I'll see you guys in a couple months.
Welcome everybody to TRG's Lunch to Learn. We got Mindy Regan from MyNHD. She's going to go over the new disclosures, the NHD report. And we also have a video from the California Cal Fire fire chief. So it's all yours, Mindy.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so good to see you through the screen, right? One day I'll see you soon, hopefully. I'm getting my second shot tomorrow, so I'm very excited. I wanted to share that for the first time in 15 years, there is a new Assembly Bill 38. And I know we've talked about it a little bit, just very briefly in the meeting, but I have some really additional information to share with you to make sure you guys stay safe and protected. So the first thing to remember is that the natural hazard disclosure industry is still not regulated. So that means that no one is governing each report and the companies that write them to ensure that they're using state, county, and most important, local maps. If you don't use the local map, then the report is not as accurate as it should be. And especially now with the new Assembly Bill 38, how do you know if you're in a high fire or a very high fire severity zone? You need to get an NHD report when you get your listing. I know I've talked about this for the last 16 years, but now it's a heightened awareness and people are more savvy that they realize they have to give the home hardening disclosure advisory form if the home is older than 2010, and they get the report when they get the listing by going online to mynhd.com, calling us, emailing us, and you don't need money up front. You get the report and you determine if you're in high fire, very high fire by looking at the signature page and most importantly, the summary page, because unfortunately, the C.A.R. signature page only shows state. If the fire zone is not on the state map, but it's on the local map, it will be on our summary sheet, which means people have to read. And so I have some great slides I want to show you. Let's pull up the first flyer, Danny. Thank you for helping me. And
yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. You have your set up as a presenter mode, so it's going to take up both of my screens. So I'm going to see if I can get this to work. If not, they're going to see the slides.
Do you want me to do it?
Well, I have it configured for mine, so let me see if it this will work
cool.
here.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. Thank you. You're so tech savvy, and I'm an art major. I certainly am not. So thank you. So this is the first flyer we created in January, letting you know that both state and local level is what's needed to determine if you're in high fire or very high fire severity zones, because the local level is updated much more frequently. The cities have money to update their maps more often than, say, the County of LA or the state of California. So that's the map that's going to supersede everything every time you write the report. When it's not on the signature page, that means you need to look at it to determine where are the high fire zones if it affects that property. Number one, can you get insurance? And number two, do you provide the home hardening disclosure advisory form? So it's all about making sure that you disclose if there are any improvements done on the house, fire safety done on the house, or any kind of defensible space, like more airflow, things that are removed, like extra brush and trees, etc. Whether it's 6 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet, and each city determines how far away it needs to be. Like Malibu might be different than Hollywood, different than Palos Verdes, for example, of how much brush you need to clear. So you, the agents, don't do this. This is what the seller provides on that form. anything they've done to their home. So let's go to the next slide. And this shows the soft pink is high fire zones, and the deeper pink is the very high fire zones. So you can see how much of the state of California is in a fire zone. Let's go to the next one. This is the best slide because this clearly shows state level says no, this property is not in a zone relating to fire, but look at the city and the county level. What a difference. So if that doesn't explain it, I don't know what does. For me as an art major, visual things are everything. You see it, you can determine where your home is and how far out that zone goes. So let's look at the next slide, and you'll see that this is the signature page from C.A.R. Since 1994, when this industry was created. As you know, it's always had 2 flood, 2 fire, 2 earthquake. So this is nothing new. Are you in a very high fire severity zone or a wildlife severity zone, basically? So notice it says no, it's not in that severity zone. So if somebody just reads the first sheet, they could be wrong. So let's go to our summary sheet. And by the way, not all NHD companies provide a summary sheet. So I'm only going to speak about what we do and we do best, which is NHD, and that's all we've done since '94. So notice under the yes column, it does say high fire severity zone. We write in parentheses AB 38. We then write fire very high right here. We're circling it in red right now so that you can see it. But on the report, it's imperative to read and determine. Page 7 and 8 is where all of the fire information is located. So we not only give it to you on the summary sheet, we make sure you see it by writing it. And then if we scroll down to the very next one, this will show page 7. And this shows, yes, it is in very high fire. And then we give all the different definitions of what a lot of these hazardous zones mean, because we're the experts and you don't have to be. So we help you out with that. And the next slide is just fun that we are the cleanest report in the business because we've never had any lawsuits ever. So we take great pride in having all of our engineers and all of our mapping and all of our data is owned by us. And that's huge because not everybody does that either. So thank you, Danny, for showing that. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the video? Okay. Anybody have a question? No? Okay, cool. So this is a video that was done about 6 weeks ago. And Scott Rockline is a field advisor for MyNHD. He's been in this industry for over 25 years. And he is interviewing Stephen Hawks, who is the fire chief for CAL FIRE. And it's really informative. So enjoy. Thank you, Danny.
Hello, everyone. This is Scott Rockline with MyNHD, your leading provider of natural hazard disclosure reports throughout California. And I'm fortunate today to have with me Chief Stephen Hawks from CAL FIRE. Stephen, thank you for joining us today. A little bit about Stephen. He has served since 1989 with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. He's been promoted through the ranks. He was a firefighter to his current position of staff chief of CAL FIRE's Wildlife Planning and Engineering Division. This encompasses oversight of land use planning, wildfire prevention engineering, CalStats, fire plan, and fire prevention grant programs. Chief Hawks has been involved with several teaching cadres, served for 13 years on different CAL FIRE incident management teams, and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Forest Resource Management with a minor in business administration from Humboldt State University. Wow, what a resume.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
So we're going to talk a little bit about this new Assembly Bill 38 that is effective January 1st of 2021. And Stephen, let me just ask you a few questions. Why don't we just jump into this? First of all, can you tell us what are the hazard disclosure requirements of AB 38?
Yeah, absolutely. So Assembly Bill 38 from 2019, a component of it became effective here January 1, 2021. And Assembly Bill 38 added two new sections to Civil Code. And the first section is 1102.6F. And starting on or after January 1, 2021, a person selling a property in a high or very high fire hazard severity zone, whether that's in the state responsibility area where CAL FIRE has primary fire suppression and prevention responsibility, or what's also known as the local responsibility area where a local government agency, fire department has responsibility. They're supposed to disclose that their property that lies within one of those fire hazard severity zones. And also in that same section, on or after July 1, 2025, the seller shall disclose which of, if any, of on what we call the list of low-cost retrofit items that the CAL FIRE produced and posted on our Ready for Wildfire website in January 2020, which of those low-cost retrofit items have been completed, if any. Again, and then also there's a list in Assembly Bill 38 of items that the property owner will need to disclose, of which applies in their situation, and those are again listed in that Assembly Bill 38 or also in the Civil Code section.
And for the audience, I just want everybody to understand, if you're working with MyNHD, the MyNHD disclosure report is 100% AB 38 compliant with all these new rules associated with AB 38. So you mentioned home hardening earlier. What information would you provide to the real estate community regarding home hardening?
Well, home hardening or retrofitting is it's making the exterior of the structure more resilient to wildfires. So it's retrofitting exterior building components or materials or assemblies to making them more resilient to wildfire. And along with defensible space, home hardening or retrofitting is one of the biggest things that a property owner can undertake on their own to make their property, their home, more resilient to wildfire. So most homes, though, in the state have been built prior to 2008 when the California Building Code Chapter 7A went into existence. And Chapter 7A is all about the exterior components of the structure and materials, and it's building a structure to be ignition resistant or non-combustible. And so the big thing about home hardening is those pre-existing homes that were built prior to 2008 and trying to bring them up to or as close to the California Building Code Chapter 7A minimum standards as possible. So homes out there are in various states of what retrofit items need to be undertaken, and some of those items could be replacing the roof if you have an old wood shake roof or something similar, or just enclosing some vulnerable areas within the roof. Other components would be placing a non-combustible gutter cover over your gutters to prevent the accumulation of debris in the gutter, enclosing vents or making sure that vents are, the mesh screen on them is less than 1/8 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch or less in the gap, or between 1/16 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. So anything over 1/8 has a possibility of embers passing through those vents and potentially catching something combustible on the other side of the vents on fire. Windows, replacing single pane windows with dual pane windows, things of that nature.
Yeah, even my understanding is even the materials used for the exterior surfaces of your home and decking materials should be non-combustible. Is that not correct?
It's preferred, yes, definitely. But one thing is I mentioned that home hardening combined with defensible space are the two key components that you can, or a property owner can do to harden their home from wildfires. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to completely harden the home. You can look at items that you can do within the first 100 feet for defensible space and modify that fuel out there, and that might reduce the amount of hardening that you potentially have to do to your home.
Understood. Now let's, can we talk a little bit more about creating defensible space? What are the general guidelines for doing that? And this is, I live in a high fire, hazard area, so this is good for me to hear as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, they're the two, when combined together, defensible space and home hardening are really critical for a homeowner. It's something that the homeowner has some control over and can undertake on their own. So defensible space entails modifying or reducing the amount of fuel in the 100 feet that surrounds the house. And those requirements can vary throughout the state depending on where the home is located in the state. So you'll need to check with your local fire department as to what are the requirements for defensible space in the area where your home is located. But some of those requirements are making sure that there's no limbs within 10 feet of a chimney. There's no dead limbs that overhang the roof line, that the roof line is clear of any debris that's accumulated like pine needles or leaves or any branches that have fallen onto the roof line. Same with the gutter, clear of any debris. That trees are separated and brush or plants on the property are separated. So we want to make sure that we have good separation distance horizontally as well as vertically between plants and trees on the property. And the whole goal is to prevent a fire burning unchecked onto the property and then continuing to burn from tree to bush and so forth, all right directly up to the structure, or burning a patch of trees and plants that are close by the structure and creating a lot of radiant heat energy that could potentially create a vulnerability in the home itself, as well as embers. So we want to reduce the amount of
Tanya, it's
fuel
Carol
and then break up the
Gillis.
continuity of that
Little after
fuel
12, I
around
thought
the
I'd catch you
structure,
during lunchtime, but
to hopefully
I know you're
either
busy.
stop the
I'm
fire
just leaving a
spreading onto
message
the property
to
or
ask
significantly
if
reduce its
Carol, please
intensity.
mute yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. One more other question dealing with that. We do have a wood burning stove in our house, so I have a wood pile. What's the safe distance to keep the wood pile away from the structure?
Minimum of 30 feet. Further, if you can take it out further than 30 feet from the structure is preferred, because that is a very large pile of flammable material that once it ignites, and especially if there's wind associated with the wildfire, that will create a lot of radiant heat, as well as potential embers that could be cast down towards the structure. So a minimum of 30 feet, but further out, if you can take it further, is preferred.
Excellent. All right, great. Thank you. All right, so great information on defensible space. Continuing, there's obviously been just a lot of wildfires in recent years. I think an unusual number, we'd all agree to that. Do you anticipate, due to this increase in fire activity, that there will be additional state bills being passed regarding these high fire hazard zones?
Yes, potentially. There's been, since the 2017 fires and the North Bay, and then again in December down south, and then the 2018 fire season, we've had a significant number of legislative bills coming through. Some were not signed into law, and some have been, as example of AB 38. And I would anticipate, due to the number of fires that we've had, 2020 being a historically significant fire season, that we'll continue to have a number of bills coming through the legislature trying to address this wildfire issue. And we've also seen that Governor Newsom, in his proposed 2021-22 fiscal year budget, has put in there a proposal for $1 billion related to wildfire suppression and prevention investments. So yes, there's definitely a lot of effort being put into wildfire suppression and prevention.
That's excellent. And look, the reality is, you know, for the real estate world, there's so many people that live in wooded areas and fire hazard areas. So the point here is there are things you can do to, you know, protect yourself currently if that's where you live, and also to protect the potential buyer of your property going forward. So excellent information, you know, being provided here, and this bill, you know, hopefully helps you at CAL FIRE to help keep us safe. Chief Hawks, look, thank you very much. The information was excellent. I think the audience is really going to appreciate it. And from all of us at the MyNHD family, we'd like to, first of all, thank you and everyone at CAL FIRE for helping to keep us safe throughout California. We know how hard the job is. I've seen it firsthand. So again, thank you. And really, we appreciate the time today for you to come on with us and spend a little time explaining AB 38.
Yeah,
That was pretty good, huh? Anybody want to share anything or have a little conversation? You can unmute yourself. This is what I hate about not being able to interact live. You know, it's like, wow, misses out a little bit. Anybody want to comment?
Mindy, that was very good. I appreciate all the information. I don't do a lot of business even up at PV, so I'm not sure that I'm going to end up with this. And but I need to be aware, and they need to be ready. So,
Yeah, look at our state. Look what's happening in so many areas that people live in for 30 years and they never had this kind of situation occur, and it's only going to get worse. So yeah, it's very important to be aware of all the things we can do to help our beautiful state stay that way.
good.
So
Thank
you for doing that, Danny. I appreciate it. I'm going to now, any other questions? Anybody want to share anything else right now?
I
Okay.
think everybody's got your information. We'll send out a recap. That way everybody can watch the video if they didn't see it. Any questions, they can contact you directly. But thanks.
Yeah,
Mindy.
you can always contact me. I'm always available. Somebody called today, asked me, can I talk to their buyer because she can't really explain it well. She had her open the links, made sure she looked at the maps, and she still has a question. So I said, yeah, I'll call her. So, you know, whatever you guys need, we're always here for you. So thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity today. And I appreciate all of your support and your business over the years. And I hope I get to see you soon during the summer. So have a good day, everybody.
Have a great Thursday.
Thank you, Danny, for your help.